Imagine having no house to return to at the end of the day, no permanent address, no comfortable bed waiting for you, no place where you could say, "This is my home." For much of his public ministry, this was the reality of Jesus. He traveled from village to village across Galilee and Judea. He walked dusty roads, taught crowds, ate meals with ordinary people, slept wherever shelter was available, and depended on the hospitality of others. We know Jesus as the Son of God. We know the miracles. We know the crucifixion. We know the resurrection. But what was his everyday life actually like? What did Jesus do when there wasn't a crowd watching? Where did he sleep? What did he eat? How far did he travel? And why would someone who had followers across the region choose to live such a difficult life? To understand Jesus, we have to step away from the stained glass windows and imagine the world he actually lived in. First-century Galilee was nothing like the world we know today. There were no cars, no paved highways, no hotels, no smartphones telling you where to go. If Jesus wanted to travel from one village to another, he usually had to walk, and he walked a lot. The roads could be dusty, rocky, steep, and dangerous. Galilee was filled with hills and valleys, farmland, small villages, and the Sea of Galilee. People traveled on foot because that was simply how life worked. And Jesus wasn't traveling alone. His disciples followed him. Sometimes crowds followed too. But following Jesus wasn't a comfortable vacation. It meant leaving behind the normal routines of life. It meant walking, waiting, eating whatever was available, finding somewhere to sleep, and doing it again the next day. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus makes a remarkable statement. He says that foxes have dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. It's one of the clearest glimpses we get into the physical reality of Jesus' ministry. Jesus wasn't describing a permanent home. He was describing a life of movement, a life without the security most people take for granted. And that raises an important question. If Jesus had followers, why didn't he simply settle down somewhere? Why keep moving? Part of the answer is found in the purpose of his ministry. Jesus wasn't trying to build a comfortable life for himself. He was traveling to people. He went into villages. He taught in synagogues. He spoke beside the sea. He taught on hillsides. He entered homes. He met people wherever they were. And some of the most important moments in the Gospels happened during these ordinary encounters. Jesus wasn't only speaking to enormous crowds. He was also sitting across a table from individuals. He spoke with fishermen, farmers, tax collectors, religious leaders, the sick, the poor, people who were respected, and people who were rejected. One of the most striking things about Jesus' life is how often food appears in the story. Jesus ate with people. He accepted invitations into their homes. He attended meals. He ate with his disciples. And sometimes, simply sharing a meal became an opportunity to teach. This is especially important because meals in the ancient world were not always casual. Who you ate with mattered. Sharing a table could communicate acceptance and friendship. And Jesus repeatedly crossed social boundaries that other people considered important. He ate with people who were looked down upon. He spoke with people others avoided. He treated people as individuals rather than labels. And this brings us to another part of Jesus' daily life that is easy to overlook. Walking. We tend to imagine the biblical stories as a collection of individual scenes. Jesus here, Jesus there, Jesus performing a miracle, Jesus teaching a crowd. But between those scenes were miles of walking. Sometimes the journey itself was the story. Jesus traveled through villages and countryside. He crossed regions. He climbed hills. He walked along the Sea of Galilee. He traveled toward Jerusalem. And the journey could take hours or even days. Imagine doing all of that without modern shoes, air conditioning, or a vehicle waiting for you. Imagine walking through the heat. Imagine getting caught in bad weather. Imagine carrying your belongings while traveling from one place to another. This was not an easy lifestyle, and yet Jesus continued. But there was another part of his life that was just as important as the traveling. Jesus repeatedly withdrew from the crowds. The Gospels describe him going away to pray, sometimes early in the morning, sometimes in lonely places, sometimes on mountains. After days surrounded by people, Jesus would separate himself from the noise. That detail tells us something important. Jesus' life wasn't simply constant activity. It included solitude, silence, prayer, and rest. He wasn't always surrounded by thousands of people. There were moments when he deliberately stepped away. And perhaps that's one of the most overlooked parts of his life. The crowd saw the miracles. The disciples saw the teaching. But there were moments when Jesus was alone. And according to the Gospels, those moments of solitude were often connected with prayer. Imagine the contrast. During the day, hundreds or even thousands of people could gather around him. People shouting, people asking questions, people seeking healing, people wanting answers. And then Jesus would walk away from the crowd, find a quiet place, and pray. That rhythm appears throughout the Gospels. Activity, then solitude. Teaching, then prayer. Crowds, then silence. And there is another surprising detail. Jesus didn't live like someone trying to accumulate wealth. He warned his followers about storing up treasures. He taught them not to make possessions the center of their lives. And his own lifestyle reflected that message. His ministry depended heavily on relationships. People welcomed him into their homes. People provided food. People supported the group that traveled with him. And his disciples left behind much of what was familiar to follow him. This doesn't mean Jesus never entered houses or never had access to comfortable places. He did. The Gospels describe him staying with people and teaching inside homes. But the larger picture is clear. Jesus wasn't building a permanent earthly kingdom for himself. He was constantly moving toward the people he came to reach. And eventually, that journey would take him toward Jerusalem. That's when the story becomes even more serious. Jesus knew that Jerusalem would be dangerous. He knew opposition was growing. He knew religious leaders were increasingly determined to stop him. And yet, he continued toward the city. He didn't turn around. He didn't choose the easier road. He kept going. The same man who had spent years walking dusty roads between villages was now walking toward the final days of his earthly ministry. And one of the most powerful things about looking at Jesus this way is that the famous stories begin to feel different. The miracles didn't happen in some imaginary world. They happened in a real landscape. The people were real. The roads were real. The hunger was real. The exhaustion was real. The fear was real. Jesus lived inside all of it. He experienced the physical limitations of human life. He got tired. He became hungry. He slept. He walked. He ate. He experienced grief. And he spent time alone. The Gospels don't present Jesus as someone who avoided the difficulties of human existence. They present him as someone who entered directly into them. And maybe that's why this part of his life matters so much. Because sometimes we imagine faith as an escape from ordinary life. But Jesus' own life was filled with ordinary things. Walking, working, eating, sleeping, traveling, talking, praying, helping people, and doing it day after day. There were no flashing signs telling him where the story was going. The people around him didn't fully understand what was coming. His disciples often misunderstood him. Crowds came and went. Friends would eventually abandon him. One of his closest followers would betray him. And yet Jesus continued walking, one step at a time, toward Jerusalem, toward the cross, and ultimately, according to Christian belief, toward the resurrection. So when you picture Jesus, don't only picture the famous moments. Picture the road. Picture the dust. Picture the tired disciples walking behind him. Picture villages appearing in the distance. Picture people opening their homes. Picture Jesus sitting at a table with people others had rejected. Picture him standing on a hillside, speaking to a crowd. And then picture him alone before sunrise, praying. Because that was also the life of Jesus. Not a life built around comfort. Not a life built around possessions. Not a life where every day was easy. It was a life of movement, a life of service, a life of sacrifice, and a life centered on God. Maybe that's why the words of Jesus about having nowhere to lay his head are so powerful. He wasn't promising his followers an easy life. He was showing them what commitment looked like. Sometimes following a purpose means leaving comfort behind. Sometimes the road is long. Sometimes you don't know where you'll sleep tomorrow. Sometimes you don't know what the next chapter holds, but you keep walking. And maybe you're in a season like that right now. Maybe you don't know exactly where your life is going. Maybe you're between jobs. Maybe you're starting over. Maybe you've lost something you thought you would have forever. Maybe the future doesn't look anything like the plan you had. If so, remember this. Not knowing exactly where the road leads doesn't mean you're walking it without purpose. Jesus spent much of his ministry on the road, and the road itself was part of the story. The villages, the people, the meals, The conversations, the lonely places, the prayers, the difficult days, all of them led somewhere. And sometimes your life works the same way. You may only see the next step. That's okay. You don't need to see the entire road. You just need to keep walking. Because the life of Jesus wasn't defined by how comfortable it was. It was defined by what he was willing to give. His time, his comfort, his possessions, his strength, and ultimately, his life. So the next time you picture Jesus, don't only picture him standing in front of a crowd. Picture him walking. Because before the miracles became stories told around the world, there were miles of road. And before the cross, there was a journey. And before the resurrection, there was a long road that Jesus chose to keep walking. That may be one of the most human things about his story, and perhaps one of the most meaningful things for us to remember. You don't have to know every step ahead. You don't have to understand everything happening around you. Sometimes, you simply have to take the next step. Keep walking. Keep praying. Keep trusting God. Because you may not see where the road is leading yet. But that doesn't mean the road has no destination.